I'm going to tell you how I went from being an independent author to an independent publisher. This could take a while, so I'm going to call this part 1. Let's go back to 2007 when I got my Master of Arts degree in history. I had an interest in a passion for history, and I was writing historical articles and going to history conferences. Then I started writing about the U.S. Dakota War of 1862, a local event in which the Dakota of Minnesota were exiled from the state of Minnesota, and 38 of them were hanged in Mankato on December 26, 1862. I was shocked to find out that I didn't know about this event, that it happened right where I lived, and I knew nothing about it growing up. And I wanted to share that history with others. So over the years, I wrote more about it, but I kind of discovered that not everyone is interested in traditional informational nonfiction text. So I wanted to find a way to reach more readers, and I decided I could do that through fiction. Also, at the time, I was working as a parking lot attendant at a local high school. It wasn't the most fulfilling job in the world, so I did the cliched thing. I quit my job and I wrote a novel. Well, that novel was okay, but I didn't know anything about publishing. I didn't know anything about reaching my niche audience, my target audience. I didn't know anything about finding a publisher. And I did eventually get my novel published in 2013, but it was published by a vanity press that exploited me and didn't do anything to help me sell the book. So that was a bad experience, but I learned a lot about the publishing process through that experience. Then moving forward, when I wrote my next novel, because I continued to have an interest in this history and I wanted to share it with others, I decided to publish through Lulu, and that's like a self-publishing platform, and that offered me a lot more flexibility. I used what I learned from the vanity publishing experience in order to do more of the work involved in being an indie author. But then as I continued to write, I realized I didn't know enough about the craft of fiction. I knew a ton about history and how to write history, but I didn't know enough about how to use those elements of fiction in order to share a message with a reader and make it, give emotional truths to create a compelling story that people will actually be interested in reading and then learning from. So that's why in 2017, I went back to school to get an MFA in creative writing. I can see my time's running out, so stick around for part 2 if you're interested of how I went from being an indie author to an indie publisher.